Well, I think he was one of the very, very great, one of the very greatest of the filmmakers. It was a very understated style, very simple, realistic, no frills, no real fanciness, just told the story and told it unfailingly with great, great power, great feeling. And I just thought he was an amazing, amazing artist. I mean, a great, you know, among the very top filmmakers that we've ever seen. Well, of course, The Bicycle Thief, which is, you know, one of the absolute, you know, 3 or 4 greatest films ever made. It's just a simple masterpiece. It's if you could think of a perfect motion picture, there are a few perfect motion pictures, and The Bicycle Thief is one. It's just absolute perfection, not just perfection of a neorealistic style, but it's perfection as a work of art. Everything about it comes together in the way that the artist intends. It works on the audience on so many levels and is so affecting, impossible to watch it without being affected by it. It's riveting, and it's just an amazing piece of work. I think that Shoeshine was also a very, very, very important film, maybe his second most important film, and again, a very great film. It's not seen very much. Why, I don't know. I don't know what it is that that controls which films are seen and which films are not seen, but while The Bicycle Thief is occasionally seen, not often enough, considering what a masterpiece it is, well, it's definitely an advantage. Now, in the films we're talking about, I can't recall significant appearances of his in his great films, but it is an advantage. I found definitely people think that it's twice as hard to be the actor and the director, but it's twice as easy because you set up the shot. I'm sure he did the same thing, set the shot up, arranged it, looked through the camera, got the composition right, got all the other actors right, with a stand-in, a lighting double. And then when it came time to make the shot, you just ask the double to step aside and you go in and you do it. And you do it exactly the way you know it should be done, because the film is your vision as the director. So you don't ever have to go into an actor and say, that was very good, but it wasn't quite right. You know, please do it again. You're doing it yourself, and you know just what you want, and you do it. Oh yes, there's neorealism. Neorealism was a major influence on films, and I mean, you know, you've only looked at certain films of Scorsese, who's a wonderful film director, and you see the influence of that. The influence can be found all over the place, but neorealism, you know, there are certain directors that will choose to direct films in exceptionally realistic style, sometimes cinema verite, which is really an outgrowth of neorealism. It's an attempt to make the film, you know, absolutely realistic, using non-actors sometimes. I've done that myself. When I made the movie Zelig, I used many, many non-actors to give the film an absolutely authentic, realistic documentary look. So when the people spoke, they didn't sound like actors who could speak well. They sounded like citizens who could not speak gracefully. And you just see it all over the place. It was a very significant movement, and it's you know, embedded in the very fabric of the vocabulary of filmmaking now. I think they're funny. I think that he was a very funny actor, and that, can't remember which one, where he's playing cards with the kid, and was it Gold of Naples or? Gold of Naples. Yeah, I just thought he was wonderful. He was just a, you know, an instinctive performer. You know, even though he had that very handsome look, he was not larger than life. He was not a man who even though he had the look of a matinee idol, he played a human being. He acted like a human being, and that same realistic quality he had as a director was in his acting as well. So I was a very big admirer of his. I felt he was a no nonsense, no affectations, no mannerisms in his work in any way. It was just, you know, I mean, in America, you know, one thinks of someone like Mark Twain or something, a great American writer, perhaps the greatest American writer, with a simple, you know, unpretentious style, but very meaningful to the people watching. It was one of the biggest and nicest shocks to me when I first started my second movie that I made, Bananas. Some Italian people said, we were with Vittorio De Sica the other night, and he saw your film Bananas, and he took us to see it so he could see it a second time, and thought it was very funny. And of course, then I thought I was made, that there was no stopping me, no limits to my ego after that. And I mean, I just felt, you know, to have had anything that I would ever do be appreciated by Vittorio De Sica was. And then, of course, I got to work, you know, for many years with Carlo De Palma, the great Italian cameraman, who was very friendly with De Sica, and I believe had worked in some small capacity on The Bicycle Thief, perhaps focus puller or some kind of thing, and had worked with De Sica and was very friendly with him and had many stories as they worked together. And you know, De Sica was a very colorful character and a gambler, as you know, and always spoke of De Sica with great reverence and great humor. Always very many funny stories between him and De Sica. Carlo used to say that every day when they drive to the set to film, on the way De Sica would always have to stop at the bank and straighten out his finances, because he was always had gambling debts and constantly involved in that. And every time he took the kids on a vacation, it was always to Monte Carlo or someplace that had a casino. He was always an inveterate gambler, and he just had a wonderful time with him, and had great respect for him as an artist. Thank you. Okay, good luck with this.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Allen, if you ever need a stand-in,
Oh,
I'll work for free.
Okay, can I give you the glasses with no lenses?
There you go.